Well, when we start talking about product-led growth, the first thing that came up in my mind is a long time ago, is when Steve Jobs did the launch of I think it was the Macintosh, where he was telling about the Macintosh and really how cool it is and the looks and the feel and the design, and it was really cool. But in the end he said, well, I can tell a lot about the Macintosh, but let the Macintosh speak for itself. And then you had really those Macintosh, and you see the screen and you see the lips, and they say, hello, I am the Macintosh, you know, in really a sort of digital language. It was not really sounding like a normal human being. So that was the first thought that I had when we start talking about product-led growth. But in the end, product-led growth is all about your product being the main vehicle to acquire, to activate, and to retain your customers. So if you really would like to scale, you need to have product-led growth strategy. So you really should do the product, should do the work, because you cannot scale with the resources to really reach all those goals of new customers and revenue. Well, I think there's also a shift in how people want to buy software. So in the past, you really went for the big deals, went to the enterprises, and you went to C-level, and you tried to help them with building a strategy. And as part of the strategy, of course, your software was part of that. And now what you see will mean is shift left, so that developers are, if you talk about tech software, developers are now more exploring the market. What can be good software for us to use? What's the value? And they really would like to use the product. They want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to talk to a salespeople or pre-sales from the beginning. In the end, they would like to have the conversation, but at that moment, they're already convinced that the software could really help them in what they would like to achieve, that it is really bringing value. And then they're also willing to introduce you to their manager. But the first part of the sales process should be done by the product. And that's the whole product-led growth part, because developers really would like to buy software in that way. A manager buyer is really based on strategy. For example, they do a big license agreement with a large company, a large vendor, and that can be one of the big ones like the Microsoft, IBM's, Oracle's, and they can deliver everything. And then there will be a big enterprise license agreement, and this is the strategy for the company. Everybody need to use those products. And the other way around is that developers are looking for the products that they need to make their work more effective, more efficient, and things that they would like to explore. And then they need to bring it up. They need to bring it up to their manager. They need to sell the value internally because they already have the proof of the value. And therefore, you know, it's not starting at management, it's really starting at the developer level. So in the past, companies were using the free trial concept, so try our product. And you had no clue, people drop off. Where did they drop off? Did they see the value of your product? So then we also start introducing our own test drive, that people can register, do a test drive, and really experience your product. And like it can work for us, it can also work for our customers. And the good thing, the other side of that, is that we can really track the engagement, so we can see what people are doing. And that was really part of our journey to become more product-led as well. Are we there already? No, not yet. Because if you now see how we onboard customers, then there's always a sort of involvement from our side. And of course, the end goal should be that just somebody can start and no involvement from our side, and at a certain moment say, okay, yeah, I want to buy this. So, but that's our journey, and that's something that we need to go through. How do you attract people to your product, to play with your product? So we had the example of the company say, okay, well, if you learn about a product, so if you do a track on Instruqt, and if you complete that track, you get a free ticket or a virtual ticket for the KubeCon. And that was really exploding. So I think there was more demand than the tickets that they could deliver. But people were really spending time about learning the product because they know at the end there was the reward that they get the virtual ticket. So that gave them a lot of leads and a lot of insights on what people are doing, where people are facing difficulties with their products. So that was one example. Another example is that people say, okay, well, if you really would like to sell these days, then you should stop selling but start educating them. So bring them value for free, and as part of that value, as part of that content, also bring your own content about your product, so that you can see how that fit in the whole technology stack that you are part of. So let them learn about the whole stack, and take care that your product is part of that. And then they learn about your product and say, okay, that can really bring value in the way that we would like to work. So salespeople works normally with a pre-sales guy or an executive, so to really help them in doing the technical stuff. And for pre-sales guys, it can be really helpful that they say, okay, for this specific use case, we spin up a scenario which runs on a sandbox that can be used for a demo for this specific customer who already, that we know, that has difficulties in this specific area. So you can have different sandboxes that you can spin up and really educate the people in our platform and how it can help them. Podcasts are really, so even the product-led crowd, they have their own podcast. So when I'm on the bike cycling to the office, I can listen to a podcast of one of them, and then I come at the office and directly start talking about it to the marketing team and say, hey, I hear this, I hear that, and that's also how we learn and become, as a sales and marketing group, become better and stronger. Try out things, not everything will be successful, but you see that working together in the end will become a success.